This is Twit.
So speaking of enterprise, Xbox.
Right.
Like that segue. That
You
was good.
owe me, Mary Jo. I'm going to talk
owe
about
you
Xbox for 5 minutes, okay?
No, you know what? I'm actually interested in this Xbox news.
Oh, methinks you doth protest too much.
No, I am.
All
I'm
right.
interested in the part one of this very much.
There'll no more Kinect?
Yep.
So obviously Xbox was, somebody at Microsoft must have been concerned. We weren't, that Xbox was losing market share to the PlayStation 4 because it was $100 cheaper.
Yep.
But Paul,
This should have been obvious about 9 months ago, but
Yeah.
whatever.
And it feels like capitulation because, in fact, I'm unhappy about it because I have a Kinect. I want more games developed to use the features of Kinect, more software to use, the infrared. This means now there's going to be a population of Xbox One owners who don't have Kinect.
So I don't know. I'm not sure about that. So I think that the reality of Kinect is that obviously it makes sense for Kinect games, Kinect-specific games, like the fitness-type apps and all that kind of stuff. It makes sense for entertainment apps where you use your voice to control playback and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the greatest uses of Kinect.
I use it all the time. Xbox Pause, Xbox Play.
Yeah, that stuff works really well.
Yep.
And you know, I've used this kind of comparison in the past, but you know, a lot of people think that I sort of knee-jerk hate things that Google makes or Apple makes or whatever. But when I complained about the Chromecast, for example, which is this really inexpensive little device you can throw on a TV or whatever, you know, one of the big problems with that thing, which is kind of, it sounds silly on the face of it, but you trigger some kind of content playing back, and it plays and it looks great, and then the doorbell rings, the phone rings, or your kids come stumbling in an explosion of sound, and what you want to do is pause that thing, but your phone or tablet has gone to sleep, and now you got to wake it up, you got to put it in your PIN. You know, it's not as easy as using a remote, but the thing that's even better than using a remote is just saying, like you said, Xbox Pause. You know, you can do that. Anyone in the room can do it, and it's such a convenience. It's a good thing.
The feature of the Xbox One I use more than any other.
Yeah. So
or Xbox Watch PBS or Xbox Watch CNN, and it does it. Now, it does it for two reasons. One, because the Kinect has the microphone, so without it, I can't talk to the Xbox One. Am I right?
Right.
But it also, the Kinect has the infrared transceiver that talks to my TiVo, my AV receiver, and my television.
Yes. Yep.
So it's the ultimate universal remote, because when I say Xbox Watch CNN, it knows exactly what to do. It knows my cable guide. It knows what channel to tune to. It knows the TiVo has to be on, the AV receiver has to be on and set to cable. It knows the TV has to be on, and it does all that. Right. That's huge.
Yes. The problem is that device is really expensive. In fact, it's about $100.
Yeah.
And so I think the primary issue they had was that Sony, and it's funny, I've seen so many smart people fall into this trap too, of just kind of blurting this out like it makes any sense. You know, the PlayStation 4 is better if you want a pure gaming experience. It's like saying the PlayStation 4 is better if you want to do only gaming, which is baloney because they're equally good at that. But the Xbox One does so much more, but it's also $100 more. So I think what they needed was, well, I know what they need. I knew this last June. They needed an option that could go head-to-head with the PS4, not just on price, but on capabilities. Works the same. There you go. Yeah. And so it's somebody on Twitter, some buddies on Twitter probably said something which I actually agree with, which is it's too bad they couldn't have just made the $500 version of whatever it costs now be the $399 version.
Yeah.
And that's true. I think the truth of it is that sensor thing is really expensive for them. It's not just something, you know, that they're artificially saying is worth $100. I think it costs $100. I think that's the truth.
Yeah, I'm sure they were selling it at cost.
Well, they're already selling it at a loss. I mean, can you imagine lopping $100 off the price of this thing?
Right.
And so that's the reality of it. This is something they should have done from day one. I agree with you and with others who have said, well, you know, now Kinect is dead because, oh, no one's going to develop for this and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, the truth is for the kind of hardcore games like the Call of Duties, the Titanfall, well, maybe Titanfall probably has some Kinect stuff in it, but you know, most people aren't going to be talking to their computer while they're playing a video game of that type.
Right.
And it's just, and they're certainly not going to be gesticulating in front of it, you know, other than when they lose to me, when, you know, because I'm really good at Call of Duty. But
you yourself has said that the command Xbox, what was it, Xbox record that or whatever?
Record that. I used it just today. It's wonderful.
So you're playing a game and you want to save the last 30 seconds. You say Xbox record that,
So
and you continue to shoot.
Is that worth $100?
No.
Yeah, I think it is actually.
All right.
But the truth is, a lot of people can't afford that.
Yeah, I understand.
By the way, Yusuf Mehdi, who's the corporate vice president at Xbox for Microsoft, said something really interesting. And this reeks of BS in a way, but it was the first time I'd ever heard anyone make this argument, which was when asked, why Sony had such a lead over Xbox One. They said, well, obviously they're in more markets than we are. For one thing, like almost 4 times as many markets. That's a big deal. But he said, the truth is, we know that the Xbox 360 has much higher customer satisfaction rating than the PS3. And so our customers are less likely to upgrade because they still love their Xboxes. And I was like, that's an interesting little. Yeah. I thought, well, I am not saying that I buy into that, but I'm just saying that's interesting.
I think I think Microsoft's mishandled Xbox from day one. I know you agree.
Oh,
the announcements that it had to be always on, always connected. I mean, just you couldn't use it in a submarine or whatever. And there's still misapprehensions. DMA.
And then they went on to give in to the wrong things, which kills me.
Well, that's my question. Is this the wrong thing? Because this is definitely a give in.
No, I think this is something that should have been there from day one.
Yeah. No, you're right.
You don't have to include the Kinect with the box to require developers to write to it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the artificial hand wringing out there is artificial.
I just love the Kinect. I can use Skype, and it will zoom in to me when I talk. And part of the reason it's not selling well is I think people don't understand it or think of the old Kinect. DMA1 in our chat room said, "Oh, my room's not big enough to use Kinect."
Well, now it is.
It is big enough.
Leo,
it's the old Kinect.
Honestly, I think people would be blown away if I really don't think people understand the importance of Kinect. I'll give you another one that no one knows anything about. In all other consoles and in previous Xbox consoles, if you had 2 controllers connected to the system, and on one of them you were logged in with Microsoft account A, and then the other one was Microsoft account B or whatever, and you were switching the controllers back and forth, the system would have no way of knowing that. And so whichever controller was tied to Microsoft account A, if that person got an achievement, that would happen, even if it wasn't the guy who did it, who owned the account, because the system has no way to know who has the controller. But with a Kinect, it knows who has the controller.
It knows
and so
everything.
It knows you are you.
It knows you're not wearing pants.
Well, right. It does know that too, actually. No, but you see the kind of importance of that. If you have 2 people on a sports team or something, one guy's the goalie, one guy's on offense or something. If we switch controllers, it knows now that we've switched those positions.
It's amazing.
It's smart. That is a very cool capability. It's a little hard to explain in a 30-second television ad, along with all the other great stuff that Kinect does. But it's a neat thing. So there's an upsell now for those people. I will tell you that
you can buy a Kinect as an add-on later.
You'll be able to in the fall.
Okay.
But when you buy a PlayStation 4, for example, you can buy whatever they call it, the Sony Eye, whatever the piece of junk is.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything. It's a piece of junk. It's terrible. It's a waste of money. $60, I think it is. The Kinect is a great upgrade. I mean, with the Xbox One in particular. Yeah. I mean, it does a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff that I think, like I said, would surprise people. So. But now, whatever. Now they have a $400 version.